House Republicans are taking on the National Labor Relations Board. There is new legislation being introduced that would limit the NLRB's power in cases like the recent controversy over Boeing opening an additional factory in South Carolina. Production line joining us is Congressman Trey Gowdy. Congressman, good morning. It's good to see you.
Good morning.
You're a co-sponsor of the bill. It's going to just be in the House. Is this another exercise in sort of a symbolic move? Is there any chance that this actually is, maybe it gets approved in the House? But what about the Senate? And I can tell you, I know this one person who's going to say, probably to this bill.
Well, you are correct to be suspicious of there being any movement in the Senate. It is usually the place where good ideas go to die. But it is important that we at least ask or put before the public to take away one of the 12 remedies that the NLRB has. And this remedy is frankly tantamount to the death penalty. You are telling Boeing to close down a $1 billion facility in Charleston, unhire or fire the 1,000 people that you have hired in Charleston to ship work back to Washington State. And when I asked Leif Solomon in Charleston at our hearing, what retaliation can you show me that Boeing participated in? Where's the animus? I got no answer. So all we're doing is saying you still have 11 remedies. You just can't shut down a facility, which is what the NLRB is trying to do.
Congressman, we've even had Andy Stern on here, and everybody says that there's some actual law in the NLRB that when someone like the machinists make a complaint that they have to at least consider this based on the way some of the bylines of the NLRB are written. And I guess a couple of years ago, the Boeing gentleman was quoted in the press saying, look, I think what he said was, we need stable production going into the future for our customers. And so they've connected the dots, and they're saying that means that he's implying that there could be a strike in Washington, so we're going to move it to a right-to-work state. So there's, that's where they're saying there is an actual intent to break the union. Don't you need to change something in the NLRB bylaws? And even Andy Stern said, hey, go ahead, change that. But right now, this is the way it's supposed to be. I don't know.
I don't think so. I mean, I would say three things in respect to that. If you look at what that Boeing executive said in context, there's nothing wrong with what he said. He listed the reasons that they were looking for a state other than Washington. And I asked Mr. Solomon, and I've asked every other alleged labor expert that's come before either Oversight or Ed and Workforce, can a company consider the fact that they're going to lose customers if they stay in the state where they are? Now, keep in mind, Boeing's biggest customer said, we're going to look elsewhere if you continue to have work stoppages. So you would be an irresponsible company if you did not consider the fact that you're going to lose customers if you stay in Washington State.
But then you need to change the law around the NLRB, right? I mean, that's exactly what you're saying.
No, I don't agree with that. I mean, I think we need to give more oversight and more direction to the NLRB. But as I read the NLRA, which is the National Labor Relations Act, there's a balance that has to be struck between employers, employees, and the public. If you can find for me the statute that says this is what we do when there's an allegation of corporate animus or retaliation. Look, I was a prosecutor for 16 years. Prosecutors have the full range, the full panoply of remedies or sentences, so to speak, to seek, and we don't have to pursue cases. You do investigations, and if you look at the quotes from the Boeing executives in context, here's the conclusion you would reach, the same one that I reached. It's okay to think it, you just can't say it. It's okay to think, you know what, we're going to lose a customer if we don't do something about work stoppages. But the minute you say it, Lord help you, we're going to try to shut the facility down. Right. I actually think this is an activist general counsel. I'm sure he's a wonderful guy, but he's an activist general counsel. If you look at the rules that they proposed a couple of weeks ago, you look at the Boeing action, it pains me to say this. I think they've become sycophants for
Trey,
labor unions.
we got to go, and you know, you got a recess appointment of the former SEIU head attorney at the NLRB. There shouldn't be any, there's no mystery. There's no mystery happening here. Anyway, thank you, Congressman. We reached out to the NLRB for a statement on the act, and they responded that it is their policy not to comment on ongoing legislation. I don't want to talk about. Would you at 9.2% want to be talking about this? And that's why, if I were President Obama, he can make appointments. I guess he can't go in and say to the NLRB, back off. But he could have someone say to the NLRB, back off.